Hi guys, welcome back to SwitchUp. I'm Mark Walker. I think if there's one thing we can all agree on about the Nintendo Switch, is that it has some pretty incredible ports. Yes, some of them run like absolute trash, but others are really quite impressive. Now I've popped a link to our video of the 10 best ports, well at the time when it released on the Nintendo Switch, but this video is going to be about 10 ports that not only do I think they'd be brilliant on the Nintendo Switch, I also think there's a good chance we might see at least a few of them. For your chance to win a free copy of Children of Morta, pop a comment down below and let me know what game you'd like to see come to the Nintendo Switch. Oh, and if you hadn't already noticed, you can actually buy a t-shirt at the bottom of this video that says "See ya" or "Happy Gaming" on it. So life is finally complete. Which ports would be perfect on this platform? Well, let's find out. First up then, my favourite series probably of all time has to go to Mass Effect. As you know, we've got the Mass Effect Legendary Collection, which is coming out on other platforms, but the Nintendo Switch has been notably absent. Now, if you're unfamiliar with the series, it takes place within a fictional version of the Milky Way and is set at the end of the 22nd century. The main protagonist is Commander Shepard, who can be either a male or female character designed by yourself, and what these role-playing / action / kind of tactical games did was allow the player to make lots of different choices. It's classic BioWare, really. It lets you make loads of choices about how you handle every situation, and then it puts characters in that are actually really likable. Now, the series has had its ups and downs, and the first 3 games were very good. I mean, the third one probably wasn't as good as the first 2, and then there was that other one, which actually, in all fairness, isn't a terrible game. It just launched in an awful state. But the trilogy has remastered versions of the first 3 games, and there's no reason on a technical level why we can't see it on the Nintendo Switch. It will obviously require a little bit more work, and I should imagine that and large quantities of cash are why it hasn't come, straight off the bat. But I wouldn't be at all surprised to see this come at some point onto the Nintendo Switch. It also runs on an engine that is known to work reasonably well on the Switch, that being the Unreal 3 engine. So perhaps a panic button Mass Effect Legendary Edition before Christmas? I would certainly snap that right up. Next up, and we don't have many good strategies on the Switch, which is a real shame, but one that I would love to see come across is Rome Total War. I didn't actually realise that this year they're releasing a remastered version of this on other platforms, but it's been available everywhere. I mean, you can even get it on iPhones and iPads, on Android, so there is absolutely no reason it couldn't run on the Nintendo Switch or the base version of the game. If you've not played the Total War series, they're absolutely brilliant. I love them. They're very historically accurate in terms of the different troop types that you can get, and Rome was the one that brought that world into a full 3D realization with thousands of troops on screen, them all doing battle. Yeah, it was a touch clunky when you zoomed in real close, but compared to everything that came before, it was a huge leap forwards. It's still a great game. There's loads of content there, there's tons to do, and it would just be a really nice way for Creative Assembly to bring it across, adding perhaps in a bit of touchscreen for handheld. This one's perhaps a lot less likely than the first choice, but that remaster, if you're interested, does come out on April the 29th. Then we've got Crysis 2 and maybe Crysis 3. They were slightly more advanced than the first game from a technical perspective, but I don't think there's anything that couldn't run on the Nintendo Switch, as we already have the Cry engine up and running quite well. In number 2, you play as Alcatraz, but the nanosuit had a little bit more in terms of tweakability, so it was just a little bit more intuitive in the way you used it, allowing for specific abilities to be selected and used a bit more seamlessly, I guess. It just was a more sensible implementation. It also had different upgrades and features that weren't available in the first game. And then the third game, while it was a bit prettier, it was more of the same, really. I like the Crysis games a lot. I enjoy the world. I think the aliens look very cool, and the nanosuit is just awesome, really. So I think there's a decent chance that we might see the Crysis games come across. If not this year, then maybe early next year. Capcom are really beginning to take the Nintendo Switch by storm. There's just no doubting in my mind that the Resident Evil, the Resi engine they've brought across to the Switch is the best and most capable engine for the platform. It's not really surprising, seeing as Capcom had a say in the design aspects of the Switch, including the amount of RAM that was on board, but I think it's still very impressive. There's just no doubting the clarity of the image, the performance they've managed to get, and the size of the worlds they've created is, yeah, it's very odd, really. I don't know how they've done it. But that being said, I would love to see Resident Evil 2 come across to the Switch, and that would be the new version, the remake. I do think it's far more likely that we might actually see a native version of Resident Evil 7 come across, just because it will probably be quite easy for them to bring it across now, and it's a way of, well, I don't mean to sound a bit rude, but it's essentially a way of making more money, isn't it? And then later we'd see 2 and 3 maybe come. Would you like to play the Resi games on your handheld? I'd be interested to know if I'm the only one, but yeah, I'm sure I'm not. And I'm also sure that the re-engine will be able to be tweaked enough for it not to be a massive job now for them to bring it across. If they haven't done so already, look, we could get a shadow drop in the next week and it wouldn't surprise me. Okay, a couple from another favourite series of mine, and that's Dark Souls 2 and 3. I see no reason why we can't have these on the Switch. Bandai Namco published this one, and they've got lots of games on the way, as well as old games that have been released, and Dark Souls 1 sold a very good amount. This just seems like a bit of a no-brainer really in terms of making decisions that are going to be both profitable and enjoyed by lots of players. What I don't know about the Dark Souls games is if the second and third game used a different engine. I think it's a proprietary engine, is it? I don't know if it's the Unreal Engine. You'll have to let me know in the comments. But there's a bit of a gap in my knowledge there. But we know if it is the same engine, then we know it's working, it'll be fine. But I see no issues. Again, if you know anything that I don't in the comments that would perhaps hinder them from bringing this across, yeah, pop a comment down below. But I would love to see the Dark Souls 2 and 3 arrive on the Nintendo Switch. Here's a game that has to come across to the Switch. I don't know why it hasn't already. Yeah, I know there have been lots of dealings with Microsoft behind the scenes, but Microsoft are about making money, and it would be an easy way of making quite a bit of money if they brought Fallout New Vegas and Fallout 3 across to the Nintendo Switch. That old Gamebryo engine hasn't really changed a great deal from the old days of Oblivion and Skyrim, so yeah, there's no reason this couldn't run. I even created a petition for this one that got loads of signatures. There was something so cool about the way you were introduced and just couriering that package across the Mojave Desert. You go through New Vegas. It's funny, it's one of those games where really if you broke down its components, it shouldn't be as compelling as it is, but I absolutely love this game. It's sold over 12 million copies and included the awesome hardcore mode, which is always my go-to in games like this, but I don't know if we'll see this one come across. I think I've got a horrible feeling this is wishful thinking, but it's one that I would love to have on the Nintendo Switch. Glen's choice for this video is Injustice 2, and I think his main choice for choosing this is it's the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, isn't it, Glen? Definitely. You should have heard him when they announced the new beat-em-up from the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. It was like a kid in a candy store, and fair play, that is looking pretty awesome. But the Injustice games are also very good. They're good fighters. They have players from lots of different series in there. And after we saw Mortal Kombat come across and perform well enough on the Switch, there's no reason this shouldn't run well on the Nintendo Switch. It uses the Unreal Engine, so that's already been done. In fact, there's now a Nintendo Switch compiler like built into it. I guess it's just whether they think they'd actually make their money on it. I'm not sure. Not one for me, but definitely one for Glen. That's Injustice.
Delivery service for pain.
Then we've got Grand Theft Auto 5. Yep, it's been out for a very long time, but it's still being used in terms of its online. They're still adding content to the heists and things. And let's be honest, it's a very good game. It's so well built. Rockstar are amazing and are probably one of the most notably absent developers of, well, I know they released, what did they release? Oh, what's the detective one called? That's really annoying. I've totally forgotten, but you know what I mean. They released that on the Switch, but that was it. After that, it went quiet. Everyone was expecting GTA 5. We waited a few Christmases and it just hasn't come. Maybe it's just too much on their plate, or they're waiting for the Switch Pro, but I know for a fact GTA 5 could run on the hardware as it uses the Rage engine, which is quite scalable. Whether or not it would look like a dog's dinner, well, I'm not sure. Shouldn't do really, should it? Because it was out on the Xbox 360 and PlayStation 3, and while it didn't look the prettiest, it still ran. I think I'll put this in my far-fetched category. It would be nice, but I just don't see it happening. I actually really preferred Arkham Asylum, the very first one from 2009, but I won't complain if they bring along Arkham Asylum, City, Origins and Night. I won't be making any complaints. These are games, again, that have been on multiple systems. They've almost been everywhere. In fact, I'm sure this was out on the Wii U. Couldn't we have it come across just bring it across to the Nintendo Switch? It'd be a great way to play it. They're third-person action games. You get a lot of exploration. You've got the brutal Riddler trophies, some of them which were blatantly designed just to be stupidly difficult trophies on other platforms. But that aside, I think they're really enjoyable, very well presented, good voice acting, very fun combat. And yeah, I think these are likely to make an appearance at some point on the Switch. A series that should have been on the Switch already and is a stupid marketing decision by everyone concerned that it isn't, and that's Call of Duty. Call of Duty, Black Ops 2, 3, 4, 26, 47, they're all essentially the same game. They run on an engine that isn't very technically advanced other than the latest releases, which would just explode the Switch most likely. But those older Call of Duties, Call of Duty 2, I'd quite happily play Call of Duty Black Ops 2. I'm pretty sure they could get that running. The old Infinity Ward engine, the IW engine that was built by Infinity Ward and Treyarch, was based on old ID Tech 3 programming, I believe. But it's been around in different iterations for ages. Now, as I say, it's had a massive bump for the latest releases and does lots of things that the Switch potentially can't do very well. But I'm sure Switch players, even if you released Call of Duty Mobile, I bet people would play it. I bet they'd pump cash into it on Switch. Give it some gyro controls. Yes, I know, I love them. And I can't see people making any complaints whatsoever. And they'd make a ton of cash. So I just don't understand, really. I don't understand. Maybe there's a reason I don't know about. I'm sure there is. Let me know in the comments, but I see no reason why Call of Duty isn't on the Nintendo Switch. Now it's your turn. Let us know in the comments, what games would you like to see come across? I'm sure there's loads that I've missed out potentially. Things like Hitman would be perfect on the Switch. But yeah, have your say down in the comments, try and reply to each other, and leave a like on the comment that you think is the game that's most likely to come across to the Switch, or that you just really want to come across. And that top comment will win themselves a free game, and one other completely random comment. Thanks for watching the video. I hope it's been at least entertaining. When you're in the industry, you do get privy to rumors and things that we don't really share rumors, because we just don't. We're not all about that. Silly faces on thumbnails and sharing rumors every 5 minutes. It's just not us. So yeah, I can't say anything else. But I'm sure we'll see some of these games in the next year or two. A big thanks to all of you that watch the channel. Thanks to our patrons who support us each and every month. And as always, for all things Switch, all the time, keep it Switch up. Cheers, guys. See ya!